I can read the mind of every single person sitting in this hall. And you'll understand why it's important as we unpack what's happening in Silicon Valley in controlling the minds of tens of billions of people. So let me show you how it's done. If you've heard me do this before, just play along. I'd like you to take a number from 0 to 10. Keep it in your mind. Any number from 0 to 10. Okay, don't shout it out. Keep it in your mind. Take that number and multiply that number by 9. Got it? Chances are that number was the product is a double-digit number. Okay, what I want you to do is simply add those two digits. If it was 7 and 5, this is ASU mathematics. So you add those two together, and the final step is I'd like you to minus 5. The teleprompter just letter's too small. Okay, minus 5. Got it? Okay. Every single number has an alphabetic equivalent, right? For example, A, 1, 2, 3 is C, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is, okay, so take the number that's in your head and think of the alphabetic equivalent of that number. Okay, here's where the fun starts. I want you to take that letter, ladies and gentlemen, much better. Take that letter, and I want you to think of any country in the world which starts with that letter. Now, what I want you to do is keep that country in your mind. Take the last letter of the country. Okay, take the last letter of that country and think of an animal which begins with that last letter of the country. You with me? Final step, ladies and gentlemen. Take the last letter of that animal and think of a color that begins with the last letter of that animal. And what if I were to tell you for the very first time in the history of the TED organization, we will be inviting on stage orange kangaroos from Denmark? Now, how many of you had that in mind? Okay, it's a little bit spooky to think I can read your mind, but think how much more creepy it is that there are big tech companies in Silicon Valley right now that not only can read your mind, but are controlling your mind and are responsible for what goes into your mind. Today we're going to talk about the biggest global pandemic to hit the world, and that's the mental health tsunami as a direct result of social media. You've got to take it from the top, guys. Take it from the top. Whoever's in the top. Let me just give you some idea of how insidious this global pandemic is. What's the second cause of death in Gen Z? Suicide. The highest number ever of antidepressants ever dispensed, anti-anxieties. The amount of bulimia, anorexia is off the charts. We have, ladies and gentlemen, far and away the greatest pandemic that's ever hit the world. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to go through some myths that Silicon Valley wants you to believe. And then I'd like to go through some solutions so we can tackle this huge pandemic. So myth number 1. Myth number 1 is as follows. It's just harmless entertainment. We're just scrolling, just relaxing, just killing time. The notion that this is benign is far from the truth. We convince ourselves everyone does it, so it must be fine, right? But here's what we don't see. Endless feeds are not neutral. They are designed using the same behavioral psychology that makes slot machines addictive. Variable records, unpredictable outcomes, infinite scroll. Your brain keeps pulling down Because the next swipe might feel good. And sometimes it does. Just enough to keep you there. But the long-term cost shows up later. Anxiety, in comparison, in the quiet feeling that hours pass and nothing meaningful happened. Because, my friends, attention isn't small. Attention is life in its rawest form. Where your attention goes, your future quietly follows. So here's a question worth asking. If I showed you a replay of everywhere your attention went in the last 24 hours, would you be proud of that life? Myth number 2 that Silicon Valley wants you to believe. I'm in control. We tell ourselves, I can stop at any time. I just need more discipline. Tomorrow, I'll use my phone less. But this, my friends, isn't a fair fight. On one side, your tired brain at the end of a long day. And on the other side, billions of dollars, artificial intelligence, and entire teams of people whose job it is to keep you scrolling. This is asymmetric warfare. And willpower alone was never meant to win that battle. So, my friends, the solution isn't stronger discipline. The solution, as we'll discuss in a few minutes, is better product design. Because discipline is fragile, but design is powerful. Change the environment, and behavior follows. Myth number 3 that Silicon Valley and the tech giants want you to believe. That more connection will make us less lonely. It should be called anti-social media. We've never been more connected, my friends, in history. We can reach anyone, anytime, instantly, and yet loneliness is rising across the world. Why? Because digital connection often replaces real presence. We perform our lives instead of living them. We share moments instead of feeling them. We collect followers instead of being known. And deep down, the human heart can tell the difference. Because the opposite of loneliness isn't more notifications, it's being truly seen. So how does big tech win? Not through evil intentions. I'm sure most people building these platforms are not necessarily villains. But the real issue is simpler and a lot more dangerous. It's misaligned incentives. Here's their business model. Rewards time spent. The longer you stay on the platform or on the app, that's the key for Silicon Valley. Not meaning created, not well-being improved, just your time. And the system follows their incentive. So the capture loop looks something like this. First, a trigger, a notification, boredom, stress, silence that feels uncomfortable. Then the scroll, endless, frictionless, always one more thing. And finally, the drain. Time gone, energy lower, your mood slightly worse. So tomorrow, the cycle repeats. Scroll, numb, repeat. And slowly, quietly, a life passes away. But my friends, I'm here to tell you that it's not too late to take your brain back. You don't need to smash your phone. You don't need to disappear from the modern world. I want to share with you 3 simple shifts. First, make the invisible visible. Create just enough friction to wake up your awareness. Turn off notifications that don't come from real human beings. Move addictive apps off your home screen, because you cannot fight what you cannot see. And the moment you see the systems clearly, you are already trapped by it. Second thing I want you to think about: replace. Don't just remove. If you only delete distractions without adding meaning, the empty space will pull you back. Your brain doesn't want less stimulation, it wants better meaning. So replace scrolling with something alive, a real conversation, learning something that stretches you, creating instead of consuming, even a few minutes of silence. Because silence isn't empty. Silence is where clarity begins. Let me give you the third shift to think about. You need to reclaim the most sacred gift that we've all been given, and that's time. Protect the first hour after you wake up, before the world tells you who to be. Protect the last hour before sleep, so your mind can belong to you. Protect meals with people. Moments of boredom. Walk without headphones. Because boredom, my friends, the thing we try hardest to escape is actually the birthplace of creativity, reflection, and meaning. Freedom isn't deleting technology. Freedom is choosing who you become with it. In the end, this conversation is not really about phones. It's about life. Because one day, at the very end of your life, none of you will wish you had spent more time scrolling. You'll wish you had spent more time and attention to the people you love, the work that mattered, the quiet moments that were trying to change you. Big tech is fighting for your attention. But my friends, your life is waiting for it. So this afternoon, don't just close an app. Open a future. Take your brain back and take your life back with it. Let this afternoon be a message to big tech in Silicon Valley, a call to action, if you will, to the technology giants. The time has come to put people before profits. Thank you.